Hello, everyone, and welcome to the very first episode. I'm your host, Jason, and I'm joined by my wonderful co-host, Amira. How are you today, Amira?
See you in the next episode. Hey, Jason, I'm doing great, thanks. Hello to all our listeners. I'm really excited about today's topic. It's one that so many English learners struggle with, and I think we've got some great advice to share.
Absolutely. Today, we're diving into something really important: how to understand native speakers. Now, we know that for a lot of ESL learners, this can be one of the biggest challenges. It's not just about knowing the words or grammar. It's about keeping up with how native speakers talk in real-life situations.
Yes, and it can be quite frustrating. Native speakers often speak fast, use slang, or have strong accents, which can make it tough for someone still learning English to follow along. I remember when I first started learning, I found it hard to catch everything people were saying.
Exactly. And that's why we're here today. We'll break down the common challenges you might face, whether it's dealing with speed, unfamiliar vocabulary, or just understanding those tricky accents. But don't worry, we've got plenty of tips and techniques to help you feel more confident and comfortable when listening to native speakers.
So, if you've ever felt like you're missing out on conversations or struggling to understand a movie, this episode is for you. By the end of today's show, we hope you'll have some useful strategies to improve your listening skills and feel more connected to the language.
Let's get started. But before we dive in, make sure you subscribe to our channel and leave a comment below if you have any questions about today's topic. We love hearing from you. All right, let's jump into the first part of today's topic: the key challenges that English learners face when trying to understand native speakers. And trust me, we know there are quite a few. Amira, what would you say is the most common issue people encounter?
I think one of the biggest challenges is speed. Native speakers can speak really fast, especially in casual conversations. It can feel like they're rushing through their sentences without giving you time to process what they're saying. When you're learning a new language, your brain needs just a little more time to catch up. And when people speak too quickly, it's easy to feel overwhelmed.
Exactly! It's not just the speed, though. Another big challenge is connected speech. Native speakers don't always pronounce each word clearly. They blend sounds together. For example, instead of saying, "What are you doing?" clearly it might come out as, "What you doing?" That's something learners might not be ready for because it's different from how they learned English in textbooks.
Yes. And don't forget slang and informal expressions. Native speakers use a lot of slang in everyday conversations that might not be covered in traditional language courses. Expressions like "I'm beat" to mean "I'm tired" or "catch you later" instead of "goodbye." These phrases can be confusing if you're not familiar with them, right?
Exactly. And then there's the issue of accents. English is spoken around the world, and even native speakers from different regions have different accents. Someone from the US sounds different from someone in the UK, Australia, or South Africa. This can make it hard for learners because they're not just dealing with English words, they're also dealing with variations in pronunciation and intonation.
Totally. And these accents can really throw people off. Even if you understand standard English well, a heavy regional accent might still cause confusion. I've had friends who learned British English but struggled to understand American movies because the accents and some vocabulary were different.
And one last challenge that a lot of people don't realize is the cultural context. Native speakers often make references to cultural things: TV shows, local jokes, sports teams, that non-native speakers might not know about. This adds another layer of difficulty because even if you understand the words, the meaning might not make sense without knowing the culture behind it.
That's a really good point. Understanding native speakers isn't just about the language itself. It's also about understanding the culture that goes with it. But don't worry, everyone. These challenges might seem big, but they're all things you can improve with practice and the right strategies.
Absolutely. In the next part of the episode, we'll dive into some practical tips that will help you overcome these challenges and get better at understanding native speakers. Stay tuned. Now that we've talked about some of the key challenges, let's move on to the most important part. What can you do to actually improve your listening skills and understand native speakers better? We've got some great tips lined up for you, so let's get started. Amira, what's your first tip?
My first tip is to start slow and gradually increase the difficulty. If you're just starting out, don't jump straight into watching complex movies or listening to fast paced podcasts. Begin with content that's designed for learners, like slow speed news programs or beginner level podcasts. As you get more comfortable, you can increase the difficulty by listening to faster speakers or more advanced topics.
That's a great tip, and it ties into my first suggestion, which is to practice with subtitles. When you watch English videos or TV shows, turn on the subtitles, but in English, not in your native language. This way, you're reading and listening at the same time, which helps reinforce what you're hearing. Once you feel confident, try turning the subtitles off and see how much you can understand on your own.
Yes, and don't be afraid to repeat what you're listening to. I always tell learners to listen to the same audio multiple times. On your first try, you might only catch a few words or phrases, but after listening 2 or 3 times, you'll pick up more and it'll start to make sense. Repetition is key to training your ear to catch the sounds and patterns of native speech.
Another useful technique is to focus on key words and context. Native speakers often drop words or shorten them, but the key words will still be there. For example, if someone says, "Gonna grab lunch, wanna come?" you might not catch every single word clearly, but you know they're asking if you want to join them for lunch. Don't stress about understanding every word. Focus on the overall meaning and use the context to fill in the gaps.
That's a great point, Jason. Another tip that really helped me was listening to a variety of accents. Like we said earlier, native speakers from different regions have different accents. To get used to this, expose yourself to different English speaking countries. Watch movies, listen to podcasts, or even check out YouTube channels from the US, the UK, Australia, and more. The more exposure you get to different accents, the easier it becomes to understand them.
Yes, variety is so important. And while you're doing that, it's helpful to practice shadowing. Have you heard of shadowing, Amira?
Yes, I love shadowing. For those of you who don't know, shadowing is when you listen to someone speaking English and try to repeat what they're saying as quickly and accurately as possible, almost like you're shadowing them. It's a great way to train your brain and your mouth to get used to the speed and rhythm of native speech.
Exactly. And if you want to take it a step further, you can pause the audio after each sentence or phrase, repeat it out loud, and then play it again to check how close you were. This not only improves your listening, but also helps your pronunciation.
I love that. And one more tip I have is to immerse yourself in English as much as possible. If you can, try to surround yourself with English daily. Watch English TV shows, listen to music, follow English speaking influencers on social media, and try to engage with content that you enjoy. The more English you hear in your everyday life, the more natural it will become to understand native speakers.
That's such a good point. And even if you can't live in an English-speaking country, technology makes it possible to immerse yourself in English from wherever you are. I'd also recommend using apps and online tools designed to improve your listening skills. There are great apps out there like Duolingo, Babbel, or English Central that offer listening exercises, dictation, and even real-life conversations to practice with.
And don't forget to be patient with yourself. Learning to understand native speakers takes time. It won't happen overnight, but with consistent practice, you'll see improvement. Celebrate the small wins along the way, like understanding a new phrase or catching a joke in an English TV show.
That's right, Amira. Don't give up. Keep practicing. Stay curious. And remember, the more you listen, the more you'll improve. In the next part, we're going to look at some real-life examples of situations where understanding native speakers is crucial and how to navigate them.
Stay with us, everyone.
All right, now that we've covered some useful tips, let's talk about real-life situations where understanding native speakers is crucial. Amira, do you have a situation in mind where understanding native English speakers was really challenging for you at first?
Oh, yes. I remember when I first moved to an English speaking country. One of the hardest situations for me was ordering food at a busy restaurant. The servers spoke so quickly, and they used a lot of informal phrases like, "What can I get you?" or "Do you want that to go?" I felt like I couldn't keep up. I had learned formal English, but the way they spoke was much faster and more casual.
I can imagine that being overwhelming, and restaurants are one of those places where you're expected to respond quickly, which makes it even harder. That's a great example. A similar situation is on the phone. I think a lot of learners struggle with phone conversations. Without body language or visual cues, it's easy to miss what the other person is saying. Have you had any experiences like that? Porn.
Definitely. Phone conversations can be tricky. I remember trying to book an appointment over the phone. The receptionist had a thick accent and they were speaking really fast. I had to ask them to slow down and repeat themselves a few times. It was a good reminder that it's okay to politely ask someone to repeat something if you didn't catch it the first time.
That's a great point. Never be afraid to ask someone to repeat themselves or to speak more slowly. Another real-life scenario where understanding native speakers is important is in social settings. When you're at a gathering with friends or co-workers, conversations can move quickly, and people might use a lot of slang or cultural references. Have you ever experienced that?
Oh, all the time. I used to feel lost in group conversations because people would reference TV shows, sports, or jokes that I didn't know about. One time, someone made a joke using a phrase I'd never heard before, and everyone laughed except me. I realized that understanding isn't just about the language, it's also about knowing the culture.
Exactly. Social settings can be tough, but they're also a great opportunity to learn. The more you immerse yourself in these situations, the more you'll start to understand the cultural references and jokes. One last example I'd like to add is job interviews. Understanding native speakers in a professional setting is crucial, especially when you're asked questions about your skills or experience. The language might be more formal, but they might still speak quickly or use industry-specific terms.
That's a great one, Jason. Job interviews can be nerve-wracking, but practicing listening skills beforehand can make a big difference. It helps to familiarize yourself with common interview questions and industry jargon so you're not caught off guard.
Absolutely. The key takeaway here is that these real-life situations might feel challenging at first, but they're also the best opportunities to improve your listening skills. The more you engage with native speakers in real-world contexts, the more confident you'll become.
That's right. And don't worry if you don't get it right the first time. With practice, these situations will become easier and more manageable.
Now, let's have some fun with a bit of role-playing. This is a great way to put everything we've talked about into practice. We'll go through a quick conversation, break it down, and show you how to better understand native speakers in real-life situations. Ready, Amira?
Ready? Let's do it. So, Let's say we're at a coffee shop and I'm the barista. I'll start with a typical greeting, and you, as the customer, will respond. Afterward, we'll go over any tricky parts. Sound good?
Sounds perfect. Let's go.
Hi there. What can I get you today?
Hey, I'll have a large coffee, please. Can I get that with almond milk?
Sure thing. Would you like anything to eat with that? We've got some fresh pastries today.
That sounds great. I'll take a blueberry muffin.
Awesome. I'll have that ready for you in just a minute. You can pick it up at the counter.
All right, let's break that down. So, at the beginning, you said, "Hi there. What can I get you today?" It's a very common and casual way of asking what someone would like to order. Some learners might expect a more formal question like, "What would you like?" But native speakers often shorten things in everyday conversations.
Exactly. And your response, Jason, was clear and to the point. You said, I'll have a large coffee, please. You used I'll have, which is a common phrase in ordering. Learners might be used to saying, I want, but I'll have is more polite and natural in English.
Right. Then you asked if I wanted anything to eat with my coffee. You said, "We've got some fresh pastries today." Notice how instead of saying, "we have," you said, "we've got," which is a more casual form. That's something native speakers do all the time.
Yes, it's very conversational. And when you ordered your muffin, I said, awesome. I'll have that ready for you in just a minute. That's another example of a casual, everyday phrase that learners might not see in textbooks.
Exactly. These little variations are what make native speakers sound natural, but they can also be tricky if you're used to more formal English. That's why role-playing situations like this is so helpful.
Definitely. Now, for everyone listening, you can practice role playing conversations like this with a friend or even on your own. Try to repeat common phrases or use apps that offer conversation practice with native speakers.
And don't forget to practice speaking out loud. The more you do, the more confident you'll feel. The key is to get comfortable with these real-life situations. So, grab a friend and start role-playing. Now that we've walked through some tips and even role-played a real-life situation, we want to remind you, understanding native speakers is a journey. It's normal to feel frustrated at times, but the key is to keep practicing and stay patient.
That's right. Everyone struggles at first, but with consistent effort, you'll start noticing improvements. Celebrate the small victories, like understanding a new phrase in a TV show or feeling more comfortable in a conversation. Each step forward is progress.
Exactly. And don't forget to use the strategies we talked about today. Whether it's listening with subtitles, shadowing, or immersing yourself in English content, all of these tools will help you get better over time.
Remember, the more you expose yourself to English, the easier it becomes to understand native speakers. So take those small steps each day. Watch a short video, listen to a podcast, or practice speaking with a friend.
And most importantly, don't give up. Keep pushing forward, and soon enough, you'll feel much more confident in your listening skills. All right, everyone, that brings us to the end of today's episode. We've covered a lot of ground, talking about the challenges of understanding native speakers, giving you practical tips to improve your listening skills, and even sharing some real-life examples and role-playing exercises. Our goal was to help you feel more confident in navigating conversations with native English speakers, and we hope you found this episode helpful.
Yes, and remember, learning to understand native speakers is not something that happens overnight. It's a gradual process. But with the right strategies and consistent practice, you will improve. We believe in you. Don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone, listen to different types of content, and immerse yourself in English as much as possible.
And before we go, here's a little challenge for you. Try to spend at least 15 minutes every day listening to something in English. Whether it's a podcast, a YouTube video, or even a conversation with a friend, those small daily steps will make a huge difference over time.
And don't forget to engage with us. If you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover in future episodes, leave a comment below or reach out to us on social media. We love hearing from you, and your feedback helps us create more content that's relevant to your learning journey.
Also, if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any new episodes. And if you know someone who's also learning English, share this podcast with them. It might be just what they need. FluentTalks.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Keep practicing, stay motivated, and we'll see you next time.
See you in the next episode.